Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a few moments here to tell you about my thoughts and opinions on the movie Renfield. Well, let me tell you, I loved Nicolas Cage's performance as Dracula. Oh my god, he just chewed through the scenery. Um, it was like a role he was born to play in this type of movie, which is a comedy horror film. More comedy than horror, but yeah, definitely a role that fit him perfectly. He doesn't make the character of Dracula look bad in any way, shape, or form. He actually personifies how evil Dracula could be. And that was a great moment about the film. The other part that I really enjoyed about Renfield was Nicholas Hoult. I mean, granted, he is no Nicolas Cage, but still, it's so weird seeing the guy from Warm Bodies and The Menu and what the hell was it? Mad Max Fury Road. Doing something like this and looking like he was having a great time. It was just one of the most absurd and silliest movies I have seen this year, along with Cocaine Bear. And if you walked in with zero expectations, you're going to absolutely love it. If you walked in like me, which was the sole purpose to see the movie was to see it from Nicolas Cage, that made it just even better because no matter how I thought he could pull this off, it still surprised me at how awesome he was. Does Nicolas Cage deserve the expulsion he's kind of had from Hollywood? He's made some bad movies. I mean, let's be honest here. But, it's like, how can I put this? You might get a script. I mean, I've been an independent filmmaker at one point in my life, and I know my scripts aren't great. And sometimes you have to find the best people available, and then sometimes you're just looking for a marketable name. In my case, I didn't really have marketable names, but I had people that I envisioned in the roles, at least an idea of what they should be. And then when I auditioned folks, they fit the roles. And in my opinion, the actors that I asked to join the production maybe helped my movies be a little better than what they should have been. In this case, if Renfield did not have Nicolas Cage as Dracula, I don't think this movie would be anywhere near worthy of even talking about. Don't get me wrong, Nicholas Hoult is great, but take Nicolas Cage and his over the top performance out of the mix and put any other actor in the role, it just would not have worked. And that's the genius of this, is that they took a script that was, I would say, at best a 5, maybe a 6, threw it at Nick Cage, and I think this is how the conversation went. Like, dude, remember when you did Vampire's Kiss? Just do that. Yeah, sorry, choking on my own laughter there. But he probably said, okay, And see, that's the one thing I kind of like about Nicolas Cage is that he doesn't mind going over the top. And he knows he has fans that enjoy that stuff. Like, one of his movies that I really love is Face Off. And that's from like 25 years ago. And when he is playing Castor Troy in the opening minutes of the movie, it just works, And then him switching roles with John Travolta, it shows that John plays a really great villain in Face Off. John Travolta, I think, makes a better villain than he does non-villain character. He's a better antagonist than a protagonist. It's just my opinion. But Nicolas Cage, given the right material, he can do either or pretty well, but you have to give him the right material. So a movie like Renfield is kind of perfect for his level of crazy. And if you've ever seen pictures of him walking around New York, or there was this one picture of him walking around New York with his kid, taking him to GameStop or something, it was a couple of years ago, he was dressed in a top hat, jacket, almost the same as he looked in the scene when he comes into the support group in Renfield. And when I heard he was going to play Dracula, and then I saw some of the first set photos, because I was following this, I was like, oh my God. I said, this is perfect. And what's even better is the way the filmmakers actually went back to the original 1931 Dracula and recreated a lot of those little moments when Dracula and Renfield first met, and the fact that Cage looks like Bela Lugosi quite a bit added so much more to it, which made it kind of made me a giddy girl, because I love the original 1931 Dracula. I do. I think it's, it's, one of those movies that helped set the tone for cinema, especially in the horror genre. And to see him kind of honor Bela Lugosi but put his own spin on it. And when I say putting his own spin on it, this is, Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage playing Dracula, and Dracula acting like he's Nicolas Cage. So it's one of those things that, it works. But I'll tell you, the one thing that I found funny is in the movie, there's obviously Nicholas Holt's really good. This Asian girl, Aquafina, or whatever, like, that's the dumbest name I have ever seen. I really thought she was just not well cast. She was actually quite annoying. And Ben Schwartz, who plays Teddy Lobo, he tried to out-chew Nicolas Cage, and it didn't work. You could see where he was trying to match Cage's over the top, and Cage just shredded him in all the scenes that they were in together. So one of the things I would recommend to any up-and-coming actor, if you find out you're going to be acting opposite Nicolas Cage, don't try to outdo Nicolas Cage, because it isn't going to work. But overall, the movie's about 94 minutes long. So you'll be in and out of the theater in 2 hours if you consider like the umpteen trailers. I mean, I watched some really bad trailers, and I'm telling you, that's something Hollywood really needs to work on. If you're going to have a movie like Renfield, right, you're going to want to have trailers that kind of match the energy of that movie that you're going to show, because if you match trailers that can match the energy of the movie, then your audience will have a much better time. It's like when I went to see the Dawn of the Dead remake back in 2004, and I'll never forget this, and they were running trailers for like Van Helsing and The Day After Tomorrow, and I'm sitting there going, why would you show these before a zombie movie? Like, even Van Helsing didn't make sense because it was not really horror, whereas the Dawn of the Dead remake was strict horror. But when I went to see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake in 2003, the Dawn of the Dead remake trailer was played before it, and all the other trailers that went into the previews helped set the tone for Texas Chainsaw 2003. But see, I'm one of those that, I would prefer if cinemas would just not do trailers at all. So this is one of the reasons I like to go to sneak previews if I can. because they don't do the trailers, they just jump right to the movie. But unfortunately, I didn't get to do that with Renfield. Um, but in the end, so Renfield's really cool. There's, like I say, it harkens back to the original 31 Dracula, which is great. It's a nice little nod. They didn't overdo it. Cage's performance is just, dude, I will remember that forever. I'm 51 years old now, and I'll remember that till the day I die. I'm not even kidding you. It was fantastic. Was it Oscar worthy? No, but it was still worth. It was worth the ticket price. Um, the movie itself has a couple lag spots here and there. It's extremely over the top. Um, I swear to God, the director of this movie must have watched Hobo with a Shotgun at some point. And if you don't know that movie, go look it up, because there were so many moments in there that reminded me of Hobo with a Shotgun that I was literally like, wow, okay, all right. Did it work? It did and it didn't. I mean, there was, like I said, take Nicolas Cage out of his role and put anybody else in this movie, just be there. It'd be down. But he elevates it, and his interactions with Nicholas Hoult are actually very good. And there's also some nice little sprinkles of cameos and stuff of folks from other vampire movies. Most people don't know this, but William Ragsdale, who was in the original Fright Night from 1986 or 1985, you have to forgive me, at my age, forget what year this stuff comes out, but anyways, he plays the Catholic priest. Now, some of the stuff that we saw in the trailers does not appear in the movie, or it does, but they use alternate takes, which is kind of annoying, because the takes that they used in the trailer, I think, had better timing than the ones they used in the film. And if I was the editor, I would have argued with the filmmaker after seeing the trailer, no, we need to go back to using that same take that we used in the trailer, because the beats were better. And it's all about beats and timing, especially with comedy. But otherwise, if you're a blood and gore fan, you're going to love the over-the-top gore. I mean, it is just like way over the top. I have not seen anything this over the top in a long time. This reminded me of like how over the top the Trauma films were, like The Toxic Avenger and Class of Nukem High. It was just that kind of corny and goofy and but in the end, it's like out of a 1 to 4 stars, I'd give it 3.5, and most of that comes from Nicolas Cage's performance. Nicholas Holt's okay. The Aquafina girl, I could have done without her. I think they could have cast somebody better. I didn't think she was a drag on the movie. She just didn't really. She's almost playing Renfield's love interest to an extent, and I just didn't buy it. And the mother of the crime family, I thought was. It's like, really? You couldn't find anybody better than her? I mean, she was serviceable, but she wasn't, doing anything to really make her stand out. But in the end, there's some really great laughs, really great action sequences. The action beats are pretty damn good. I would say they are. Of course, a lot of Hollywood trickery and editing, but they get the point across, and they get the mood of the film going, and they get the audience hyped at all the right moments. So they got the beats correct there. The only other thing I could say is I think they could have used a little more rewriting of the script. There was some stuff there that kind of meandered a bit, but if you've ever made a movie, it's keeping the tone is not the easiest thing. Like you're shooting for, we'll say, 30 to 90 days. The tone of a movie is really based on how your first day goes, and then, you know, what kind of mood the actors are in. You know, are you having problems that day with behind the scenes stuff? Is there lighting problems? Is there grip problems? So all of this adds up, and can really affect the tone of a movie. And you know, and also, you know, you have a director that's in a bad mood or something, or is not having a good day, and it could really, you know, hamper things, and they can end up making, oh, excuse me, sorry, oh, it's 1 o'clock in the morning almost. um, they end up making decisions that are not always the best for the picture. And not saying they're doing it intentionally, it's just that keeping a tone for 30, 60, 90 days is not easy. um, you know, people try, they do good. There's some filmmakers that can keep the tone consistent, and then there's some that are just not seasoned enough. I'm somebody who I know couldn't keep the tone through my first two films even keel enough, and there's a tonal shifts quite throughout in my movies, but I'm amateur. Chris McKay is only really done one other big movie, and that was the Lego Batman movie, excuse me. And while that was a good movie, I actually enjoyed it. I don't think his live action work is up to snuff. You know, with animation, you can always go back and fix something, da 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 da. And I don't. His live action, he needs more time behind the camera. But, you know, look, this is coming from a guy who made 3 films on a total of 20 grand. So, but in the end, if you're going to see it for Nick Cage, great, you're not going to be disappointed. If you're going to see it for a true Dracula story, yeah, that's not going to happen. It's not even it's, other than the homage to the Bela Lugosi Dracula, that it's, you know, it's definitely in a world all by itself. If you like to wake and bake, or just go to the movies stoned or whatever, I would recommend no more than 2 10-milligram edibles if you're going to do that. It's, you know, it's kind of it's a goofy popcorn movie. You know, it is one of those movies where you pay your $15 for a ticket, and, you know, you're just going to say, okay, well, you know, I got my $15 worth. And, you know, when I sat down and had my popcorn and my soda, my movie ticket and everything came to about $40 for one person. I was kind of like, wow, all right. I said, well, that was $40 that, you know, hey, got me out of the house for a couple hours. You know, I got a babysitter for my son, because I'm a single father raising my child, and, you know, I was able to go turn my brain off for a couple of hours, and it was perfect. But if you're somebody who's going in looking for something in the vein of a Marvel or DC movie, it's just not there. You're not going to get that. And to be honest, excuse me, I really want to see an end to the comic book shit. I'm getting tired of it. It's just too many comic book movies. I'll be, you know, everybody's predicting Guardian of the Galaxy is going to be this huge hit. I don't think it's going to perform the way it's supposed to. I honestly think everybody has superhero fatigue. That's just me, personally. But I have a feeling that, you know, after we've seen what's happened with the most recent rounds, I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is not going to be as successful as the previous two. Just my opinion. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this up because I've been going on for 20 minutes. Anyways, Renfield, 3.5 out of 4 stars. You'll enjoy it for Nick Cage. Got some good laughs, great action set pieces, and a lot of blood. So for those that like blood, horror, villains, and comedy, you should get your $15 ticket price easily. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great night.